Welcome everyone to Two Off the Tee Fantasy Six Packs, Golf, DFS, and Gambling Show. I am your host, Keith Flemming, joined as always by my good friend, host of ESPN Northwest Florida's Inside Drive, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1.
Yep.
Getting it.
You're
You
getting
get
it
it on the
good.
app.
What
You
time
get
zone, though? What time zone?
Central. I knew
That's
that.
right. That's right.
So,
11 to 1 Central. So if you're looking in the Eastern time zone, 12 to 2.
That's right. Which is where I live.
Yes,
And as
absolutely.
you can imagine with me, there was a little bit of an adjustment in the beginning.
That's right. You figured it out. You persevered.
And it helps when Dave calls me and it's like, all right, you're ready to go.
That is a good thing too, for sure.
Pretty big week for golf. What'd you say this
Shoo!
last
One of
week?
the biggest weeks that I can remember in a long, long time. And I think it was exactly what golf needed in the moment. I mean, just you couldn't have scripted it really any better. I mean, the ups and downs, the drama. Is he going to win? Is he not going to win? And you just kept thinking, oh, he hit. Oh, you're like, oh, and just emotional. I couldn't imagine being the golfer in that situation. Being a fan, you're just kind of torn. But obviously, good for him to get it done. He joined some elite company, and really not only in sports Grand Slam stuff, but really in all facets of stuff. I think I ran through some stuff on the radio today talking about there's been like 12 Nobel Prize win. Like this is one of the smallest groups of achievements that can be done in sports and life. So pretty impressive stuff. I didn't mean to ramble on so much there at the beginning, but it was certainly an exciting. I was just taking a page out of your playbook. That's all.
I was going to say, it's our show. You can ramble on as much
That's
as you
true.
want,
That's true.
especially about what happened
Yeah.
on Sunday. The first 3 days were great.
Mm-hmm.
We go into Sunday, and I would argue the two biggest stars in golf, right?
Oh, I
Final
would say
pairing.
for sure.
I kept
Little
texting
U.S. Open
you
rematch.
and
Yep.
everybody. I knew that I didn't, because I wanted Rory to win, but we've seen this so many times before. And I told you that I did not want to wake up and see that the last time you had a Masters final group with guys with two or more majors was the Faldo Norman. And I'm like, oh my God, does he choke it? He goes out, doubles the first hole in just horrible fashion.
Yeah.
Bryson immediately pounces, takes the lead on the second hole, and it's like, oh my God, Bryson's going to run up. The body language was horrible for Rory, and Bryson looked like he ruled the world. You flash forward an hour later, and Rory has got a commanding lead, and it appears like it's over, right?
Yep.
And then
comes 13.
Well, Rory just starts being Rory. This is what I don't understand about him. Well, I've never been able to be a huge Rory fan. Is it's just like he has the greatest golf swing maybe ever. Like if you truly want to get into it, as much talent as you can have, but he just does stuff that's just mind-boggling. They talked about how good his angle was into 13.
Yeah.
And how you hit that shot right with that slope, because I know they kept saying he chunked it, and I'm sure he did.
Yeah, a little bit.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I talked about
this over there
extensively on the radio. I mean, yes, it's a front pin location, and short is no good. You've got a huge backstop on that green. That's half the reason why guys lay up, so they can throw that ball into the backstop and let it come back down to the hole and take Rays Creek out of play. And it was just, out of all the majors I've watched Rory play, that was probably the worst shot I've ever seen him hit. You could put the missed putt up there in the U.S. Open as well, but that was a putt. Putts are a little different. Obviously, the shot on 13, and just somebody called in earlier this week and was saying, like, some guys are just meant to play aggressively, and some guys are not meant to play aggressively. And Rory just seems like one of those guys that needs to play aggressively, because when he tries to do the right thing on the golf course, it just never seems to pay off. Now, obviously, you flash forward to 15, and then the hell of a swing he made with that 7-iron over there on the left side. And I was going to ask you, I don't know if I'm getting too far ahead, Keith, but I was going to ask you, we talked specifically about 15 last week on the podcast that, there was a lot of trees that had been taken out by Hurricane Helene. Does Rory even have that shot if Hurricane Helene never happened? I don't know if I'll ever get that answer, because I don't know what trees were there before and how it looks after the fact. But, if Hurricane Helene never comes through, Rory may not even have a window to hit that shot arguably one of the best shots he's ever hit in competition. And then he goes on to, miss the eagle putt, and then you're like, oh wait, maybe we're not gonna get this thing, because you're like, okay, he played himself right back. 13 was not good. Here he is on 15. He's gonna make eagle, get a 2-stroke lead, and then cruise this thing on the way home. And then of course he missed the putt, and everybody's like, oh my God, not again.
Stuffs it on 16.
Stuffs it on 16 on an all new hole.
Same thing.
Oh
right?
man.
And then hits, I feel like, an even more impressive shot than the one on 15.
Yeah.
On 17.
Yep.
Makes the putt.
Yep. You're like, all right, all he's got to do now is par.
I just thought about Tiger in 2019, right? Where it's just like, just make a par. And then in typical Rory fashion, pipes the freaking drive.
Rips it down. You're like, all right,
125 yards. What is the one club I've always told you is like, just, it's baffling that Rory struggles with more than it seems like any other wedges, right?
Yep.
And he does the block and I knew I knew what he was doing. You can't miss left or right, bring disaster into play. Yep. So like, I get it, but it's,
it's just in the middle of the green, like easier said than done. Of course, the amount of pressure that he was facing, I couldn't even fathom what that felt like. But yeah, and he fans out the wedge, and you're like, oh my God. Well, and he hit a decent bunker shot. I mean, he had the opportunity, and then of course he just a glutton for punishment, misses the putt to win the career Grand Slam. I can't imagine what was going through his head during those ups and downs of the final 9. It's not the back 9. Oh, excuse me, the second 9 on Sunday at Augusta, where a lot of people say the Masters truly starts on the second 9 at Augusta on Sunday.
I will say that he smiled when he missed that putt.
Yeah.
And
nervous smile.
I don't know. I think it's almost like he's like, okay, really, we're going to have to do this, one more hole, because I don't want to bury the lead that Justin Rose did all this amazing stuff on the back 9 to catch Rory, because really Rory did Rory did enough.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like on Sunday, even with all the misses, and boy, there was a lot of misses and just the bad mistakes. They get into the playoff, and then in just typical Rory fashion, he stuffs it. I'm not gonna lie, I was not confident he was gonna make that putt either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Do you think, Keith, that because Bryson was kind of, I hate to use the word collapsing, but really falling off and not pressuring Rory to play better, do you think that kind of impacted Rory a little bit? And where Justin Rose was obviously up ahead of him and kind of out of sight, out of mind, but obviously making a charge, and then obviously draining that 30-footer on 18 to put himself in position to get in a playoff. But I think if Bryson would have been playing better golf and pushing Rory a little more, I don't know if you see the same mistakes from Rory. I don't know if you see him trying to lay up on 13 and trying to maybe make some more hero shots. What do you think?
I definitely think it plays when the guy you're playing with is playing awful. To me, one of the most amazing things about the Norman collapse is Faldo shot 67 with that going on.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we've all been there, right? Your buddy's playing so bad, the tension, just everything, the mojo, whatever you want to call it.
You can feel
not
it.
good, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So it does. It affects you, and I do think it played a part in Rory's. I want to sometimes live in a world without phones, and this was a reminder when they get great work. I constantly bitch about CBS and golf coverage. Great job of showing the crowds on 18
the angles,
every time they would change that scoreboard. And, whether it be Rory just, took a 2-stroke lead, because remember he faltered early, took the lead back, place went nuts. And then when they threw up that 7,
when it went 13 to 11,
I mean, you had
everybody just the wind went out of the place.
The noise was just, I miss that, where everybody is concentrating on one thing.
Yep. Living in the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great stuff. First person ever to win a Masters with 4 double bogeys in a tournament. Just unbelievable. He had 2 in his first round and 2 in his last round. And I said it going into the playoff, this will either be the most Rory win ever or the most Rory loss ever. But I felt confident in either one of those.
Yeah. I mean, I think if he would have ended up going on to lose in the playoff to Justin Rose, that could have maybe been extremely detrimental for the rest of his career, because he would have never, ever, ever lived that down, especially with making 4 double bogeys in the final round. Nonetheless, just wild stuff. Did you see what Harry Diamond said to Rory as they were driving in the golf cart on the way to the 18th tee in the first hole in the playoff?
No.
This was fantastic. We talked about this at length today. So basically, what Harry Diamond said to Rory when they both got in the golf cart and said, I bet you'd be happy if I told you Monday morning you'd be in a playoff." And Rory's like, "Yeah, I would be." He's like, "I'd probably give an arm and a leg to be in a playoff on Sunday if you told me on Monday morning I was going to be in the playoff." And because Rory was asked in the press conference after his Masters win, not in Butler Cabin, but in the actual press building, how did he reset from missing, a shorter putt to win the career Grand Slam to having to completely regroup and go out there and play the same hole again? And basically his caddy, I think, gave him the mindset he needed. Like, hey, this is an opportunity that I may not have had. And yeah, if you look at it before you even start the golf tournament, if you could say I'll be in a playoff on Sunday, absolutely you would take that. So it kind of reframed Rory's thinking, and obviously we know what went on to happen. So kudos to his best friend since 7 years old, Harry Diamond, to reframe and reset Rory's mind so he could go on and win that career Grand Slam.
I think it helped too that it was a tee shot he just hit 15 minutes earlier.
Yeah,
he
hit it even
just
better in the second one. But I think
and basically had the same shot in, right? Where he got to make up. And I mean, again, I think Rory is not the wedge player that I'd like him to be for some hits the ball 4 miles, but you give him 2 shots, you know what I'm saying, with that angle to that pin. Yeah, I think he's going to do what he did. The reaction that he had, and again, I want to give credit to you and Bud Copeland, who both called this Masters win for Rory for different reasons. I think I'm going to call Bud Nostradamus moving forward because he said it was going to end with him with Poppy in his arms and just that. I literally sent Bud pictures and said, dude, seriously? And I got to give you, you were right. I was wrong. I really did not think he could get this done. And I think by winning this and, being the first guy to ever win the Grand Slam, and it took more than 4 tries to get it, to be 11 years apart, just to win it in 5 majors is really insane. And there's 2 things I wonder is like, A, is he already a Pantheon golfer? Because if you look at he's basically Greg Norman with the major resume, right? Because he's won all over the world, the greatest swing, just probably the most talented golfer in the world. And then he's got all 4 different majors, right? He's won one of them twice. And I do think that this is going to open up the floodgates, which is something I've said before. I would now, if I was setting an over-under, put it at 8 and 7.5, and I take the over. I think he wins at least 3 more.
If he can get to 10, I mean, that's crazy company, because I think that puts only 3 people ahead of him then with majors, Jack, Tiger, and I forget the last one. But I mean, and you look at the year he's having. I mean, he won Pebble Beach. That's a signature event. He won TPC Sawgrass. That's obviously a $4.5 million purse. And then he wins the Masters all in like a 2.5-month span. So, we were talking so much last year about how good of a year Scottie Scheffler was having early on. I think he can put Rory's year so far right up there with that, if not even better. In 2 years back-to-back, you have a guy win the Players and the Masters in the same season. And I'm sure but prior to that really, had that ever been done before? Once. Tiger.
There you go. 1.
That was an easy one.
The GOAT. Right. He did it.
Tiger Slam.
That's right. And that's the other thing people don't realize. Tiger Slam plus he won the Players.
Plus the Players.
Yeah. He was pretty good in 2001.
Yeah, it was a good year for him.
Give you right now more majors moving forward. Rory, Scheffler, who are you taking?
I'm probably taking Rory. And I know we're kind of Rory in the moment. The only reason I say that is because what you just said. Like, he's been waiting to win this Masters. And now he's literally got no pressure in any major he's ever going to play in again, other than the pressure he puts on himself to win. But you've won all the majors. You're one of 6 people that has a career Grand Slam. You've just let this huge weight off your shoulders that's been bothering him, for a long time. I mean, and also, losing the U.S. Open last year on that brutal fashion with an unbelievable bunker shot by Bryson. Did you see Pinehurst gave him a plaque that went in the ground right where that bunker is?
Rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So now can Scheffler do it too? Yeah, probably. But I think Rory's game is just, and he's 35 years old. That's what they talk about him being the old guy on tour just because he's been playing for so long. He's still only 35. He's in the prime of his golf game, and he's in fantastic shape. He's got his kid now. He's still with Erica. So he's just got everything going for him. Not that Scheffler doesn't, but winning this Masters, I think, really is going to open the door for Rory just to play really loose and fun in a lot of these majors coming up.
If you're asking me total majors, I agree with you. If you're asking me what I'm asking, which is majors moving forward, give me the guy that's 28, came to Augusta with his C- game and finished third. Scheffler's A game, I think, is every bit as good as Rory's A game. Scheffler's B, C, and D game, Rory can't touch it. I mean, Scheffler could just ball strike it so well that we saw if he'd have just made putts this week, he would have been the one.
It's kind of been
Rory.
his theme, yeah.
But I mean, to my point is, I just feel like he's such a good ball striker. There's something about his footwork and how unique his swing is that I think it's going to last. Like, I really do. I don't think that his swing, he's going to be one of those guys that is an ultimate ball striker, and he's not putting all this torque on his body like Tiger does, or even Rory, who I still worry about. You made the point he's only 35, but how long can he really swing?
Yeah,
I mean, it's eventually caught up to everybody. I'm very happy for him. Somebody who was a Rory hater for a long time, and again, it was just Tiger was my guy, and all of a sudden, this punk kid's on his block, and I'm going, wait a minute now, 4 by the time I think he was like 23, 24 years old, and then for it to take this long, I do think he wins another major this year, though. I completely agree with you. I'm very interested to see how he plays coming out of this in the short term, because the only problem for him is just think about the emotions. I mean, you saw it on the green and how quickly he can turn that around. And remember, once Augusta starts, basically every month we have a major.
Yep.
So
30 days to the PGA.
I still do kind of like him at the Open. And the way they've been playing the U.S. Open the last couple of years, he'll be right there. And I said it, at the end of last year with Xander Schauffele, and I'm forced to say it again with Rory McIlroy. It's hard to look at golf in the moment because you never know what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months, because Xander entered that PGA last year, best player not to win a major, the guy that can't get it done, whatever. He won 2 or 3, right?
Yep.
Rory literally blows the U.S. Open. I mean, like he did. He blew it.
Yeah.
Bryson played great, but Rory blew it. And he comes back in the very next major and wins. Not to mention, to your point, wins the Players. It's amazing stuff, and I'm very happy for him. And he made this season very interesting.
Yeah.
One of the things that is not quite as interesting, and we were just talking about this before we went on the air, it feels like with the RBC Heritage at Harbour Town, the reason this is a signature event is because they don't want it to be so glaring what is missing when you go from a major field event, which has LIV and PGA guys, to just a random PGA event. But as you were saying, it's kind of hard to believe that they do a signature event the week after the Masters. And I want to know what they have on Scottie Scheffler that he keeps, showing up. Even last year after winning the tournament, he showed up. Rory is like, thanks, I'm good. Now, granted, he was going to take a pass before, he won the Masters, but I think that would have happened anyway, even if he'd have been in the field. But
he needs time to decompress, because I couldn't imagine what he feels like after.
Dude,
but your body needs time your mental state needs time to recover from that. That's for sure.
I had so much empathy for him, just seeing him you could tell that
he let it all go.
Just, oh my God, I finally, got this off my chest. And then again, just the most Rory fashion ever. Have you played Harbour Town?
I have.
I have too.
Another Pete Dye diabolical
golf course.
You got to love golf courses where you can hit it in the fairway and not have a shot to the green. Certainly another great Pete Dye masterpiece over there in Hilton Head.
Beautiful golf course, though. Par
Oh, yeah.
71. I've
Yep.
never played it at 7,200 yards. I'm saying it's hard from like the 66 and change that I've played
Yeah.
from it twice. Again, this is a signature event, meaning limited field, no cut. This is everything I hate about golf right now. Dog legs, tons of giant trees. Ryan, as he's talking about, they overhang the fairways. You can hit it in the dead center and have nothing because of the angles. Some of the smallest greens you'll ever see, coastal winds, extremely flat course,
Very flat.
water everywhere, 9 holes with water danger, 6 of them on approach. 3 par fives, 11 par fours, 4 par threes, all 190 plus yards. All the par fives are pretty much true traditional 3-shot holes. I'm sure there'll be some guys that take a shot at it, but overall, it's really risky. 47 of a percentage of approaches, 150, 200 yards. So again, you need that mid to long iron game. And overall, I'm just looking for guys that are extremely accurate off the tee. So I really looked at driving accuracy.
Probably number one.
That's what I was thinking. Elite short, again, mid iron approach games. I'm looking at proximity, 150, 200 yards, strokes gain approach, scramblers. And a big one for me, again, is the par 3 scoring, because that, 190 plus guys that play par 3s playing well. And the par 3s are some of the tougher courses. I looked a lot at the scrambling, a lot of driver accuracy, greens and regulation, proximity, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a accuracy driven golf course, as are many Pete Dye golf courses, especially on the approach.
The this week for DFS, to be honest, I feel dumb doing this, because it's like, yeah, Keith, of course you're going to go to all the guys that failed you last week, but I'm going to a lot of the guys that failed me last week, because I'm looking for guys, again, that elite ball strikers. JT is somebody who really stands out to me. I'll keep saying it. He is 3-4 good rounds of putting away from winning his next event. Remember, his good buddy Jordan Spieth had his long winless drought broken here, I think 3 years ago. JT top 12 in strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained approach. He's top 40 strokes gained around the green and putting, and he's got a really good track record here. 3 top 10s in 5 starts. And he comes in playing well. Even last week at Augusta, I know it wasn't a great week for him, but 36, to me, it just, again, shows he's getting better. But I'm looking at those guys, again, that really missed the cut last week, and that's the Russell Henleys, the Sepp Strakas, Robert McIntyre, Lucas Glover. That is a core 4 guys that I like a lot this week. Same for Bud Cauley, who I think is kind of the forgotten man, because he wasn't in the Augusta field, right? But 3 top 6 finishes, before basically he missed the week because of the Masters. He's top 15 in strokes gained tee to green. He's top 15 in strokes gained approach. He's top 30 in strokes gained putting. He is really good from 175 to 200 yards, 12th in proximity. He's top 40 in scrambling. And he actually has some success at this venue. Granted, it's been a while since he's played here, but he's done well. And then just some other guys that I really like Patrick Cantley owns this course. It is unbelievable. 6 top 3 or 7 finishes and 7 starts. And 5 of those are top 3s. How is that possible?
Something about that golf course he likes.
And he's never won it.
I know.
What's crazy.
You would think he would have, but yeah, no, nuts. But
and then Wyndham Clark, Jason Day, these guys that are kind of trending in the right direction. They're very good around the green with wedges, putting, and then just some, again, cheaper guys like Sahith Theegala, who is really cheap considering top 5, 2 of his 3 starts at this venue have actually been his last 2. He's coming off a top 30 at Augusta. I know it's been a down year for him, but to see him in the low 7Ks at a venue that he's done so well, I really like that. Christian Buzenhoop, your boy, 33rd or better in all 4 starts here. He is somebody that excels around and on the greens. And a lot of times this turns into a putting contest. He's 30th in bogey avoidance, 29th in scrambling. And then even somebody like Thomas Dietrich is, I think, a real value this week. He finished, I think, 29th here last year in his second start. And he is somebody that, you know, struggled since his win at the Phoenix, but I think this is the kind of venue that can get him back on track. Do you have any DFS plays you really like this week?
I was actually just building a lineup as you were talking there. I like Shane Lowry too. I know you mentioned. Did you mention Robert McIntyre?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
8,500. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean it just obviously playing great this year, and I think that golf course really suits his game. But Shane Lowry, coming off a good Masters performance, obviously not a great final round. He'd like to have been a little bit closer to his buddy there, but he was waiting for him on the 18th green, which I thought was pretty neat. Lucas Glover as well. I think you might have mentioned him. He's got a good track record.
Really
played
like Glover, yeah,
a lot.
Yep.
And being from South Carolina as well, sometimes there's that in-state connection seems to pay off a little bit. And I had popped in Sahith Theegala as you were mentioning his name, like you said, 7,300 for him, 7,500 for Bud Cauley. Just some serious value in guys that played this golf course really well.
Yeah, the horses for courses, and there's a lot of these guys that are not in this group. From be sure to check out my DFS cheat sheet that is now available on fantasy6pack.net. But Scheffler, obviously, with a win, and top 10 finished the year before. Cantley, Spieth, Harmon, Fitzpatrick, and again Justin Thomas. The values for me: Straka, Henley, McIntyre. And I just want to add to the McIntyre: 5th strokes gain tee to green, 21st strokes gain approach. This somebody drives it really straight, 22nd driving accuracy, 7th in green and regulation percentage, top 25 in bogey avoidance. And what I really like is very good on, again, those par threes, 28th in par three scoring. The only thing he doesn't have is a ton of experience here. He finished 54th in his only start, but I mean, he's 11th or better in 3 straight before, again, that miscut at Augusta. And there was a pretty big difference on the draw. And if you look at like Straka, Henley, McIntyre, all ended up on the wrong side of it. Henley, again, another guy that I really like this week. I mean, he tried to battle back on Friday. Same thing for Sepp Straka, who actually got in the cut line and then finished bogey double, just ruining a majority of my DFS lineups. Thanks a lot for that, Sepp. But I mean, overall, I think that, and then again, the 7K and under range is interesting. Like Yager, my guy, 6,800. He had a good finish there last year. Again, he's been so good this year around the greens and on them. And then I'm looking for guys that just know how to score. And that's like your Adam Scotts, Mackenzie Hughes. And again, Lucas Glover, under 7K. I think Glover is arguably the best value there is. He's 5th in driving accuracy, 4th in proximity this year on the PGA Tour, 2nd in par 3 scoring. Again, those are all things I love. But by the way, he's top 20 strokes gain tee to green, top 30 strokes gain approach. And you talked about it, 33rd or better in 7 of his last 10 appearances here. So at 6,900, I'm getting somebody that I feel very confident they're going to make the cut.
Absolutely. And the thing, it just seems like, too, this particular tournament, you got a lot of nostalgia victories. A lot of guys that have been on the tour for a while seem to find ways to win this. I don't know if it's because it's a shorter distance in PGA Tour standards, or just these guys have played that golf course so many times that gives them an advantage. But you seem to find these guys that maybe haven't won in a little while, and then Harbour Town, for some reason, kind of brings them out and wins. I guess I got Davis Love stuck in my head a little bit, who's won this tournament quite a few times and won it at a little bit older age as well. So maybe we'll see that from a Glover or somebody like that this week coming up.
Yeah, it also just feels like that's kind of what we've been getting this year, is these older guys popping up. And then again, a lot of redemption stories going on the PGA Tour right now. Who is your most bet player to win this week?
Let me pull it up on the old Hard Rock here. Let's see. I guess it doesn't want to give me golf right off the jump, so I'll find it.
Vamp, 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 vamp.
Right. All right. Golf Heritage. They get a cool jacket if they win. Let's see. Corey Connors at plus 2250. That might be worth, obviously he played fantastic at Augusta National. I don't know his track record.
He's got 2 top 10s in like his last 4 starts here. So.
Sweet.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of guys. There's like, I think 12 guys in this field with multiple top 10 finishes over like the last 6 times playing this. And I mean, it's very hit or miss for those guys. Like other than Cantley, obviously, who finishes top 3 about every year.
Automatic.
But it is nice to see the same kind of players, and they kind of fit a certain build too.
Yeah,
I really like, again, the JT Henley combo, 20-1 plus 2,500, and then the Straka McIntyre at 40-1.
Yeah.
That feels like good value. What do you think about Justin Rose?
Whew.
This is a course that fits him very well.
And I was just talking about nostalgia wins. Obviously, he's playing great golf. Did that take a lot out of him?
That's my question.
Or is he going to do the bounce
Set the
back
fire,
move?
right?
Yeah,
like
I don't know. But at 60-1, it's
his
worth
game
at least
looks
a couple.
so good right now. Like if you look the last couple of tournaments,
the ball, man.
He's striking it. His short game is as good as it always is. That's always been the thing with Rose, is if he's, tee to green on approach, game on, like he's just such a good short game player. He's 60-1 to win. I did not include him in my official plays, but
that might be
he's somebody I could easily be twisted into, including. I just didn't know if you can recover that quickly from that. And again, though, to see him bounce back the way he did from Saturday to Sunday, when really Saturday, technically, he shot himself out of a tournament that if he had just put together a decent round, again, Rory would not be the story today. It'd be Justin Rose winning his second major. And how heartbreaking is it for Rose? That's his second playoff loss to a fellow European.
Yep.
With Sergio in 2017, and then obviously here. And then I really like the value of Bud Cauley and Lucas Glover, 75-1 to win. But there's no way I'm going any higher than that in a field that has Scotty Scheffler, Xander, like these big dogs. You could take your shot, and I get it. Yager again is a guy that's higher than that, but I just, I can't. It's probably going to be Scotty Scheffler. He's mad if he putts well and hits it like he did, because he didn't even hit it great last week.
No, and he still was really right there towards the end.
Yeah.
Yep. What about Ludwig? Do you think he bounces back? Obviously, he lost himself $515,000 with that triple on 18. Pretty wild stuff there. I mean, obviously, I don't think he's hurting for money, but it's kind of a big pill to swallow. Can you bounce back from that on a very, very difficult golf course? What do you think about him this week?
I always like
Ludwig.
Yeah. He is right now, to me, one of those guys that his price tag is always too high for what he's done. Has he had a great start to his career? Absolutely. But to be in the same odds as these guys that have won like 7-8 times, it's like,
that's tough.
I have a hard time. My question is, how do you feel about being a little bit of a jinx? You sent the text about the amateur on Thursday.
Oh, and he just crapped
nosedived.
Yeah, bad.
And then my favorite was on Sunday. You're like, look at Amber. Oberg, excuse me, I keep saying Amber. Oberg with back-to-back top fives. And then, no, wait a minute. He triple C.
Yes, yeah. Man.
And
that's why I'm so superstitious, because that shit happens all the time. I was so excited for him because it's so difficult, as you mentioned last week, being a Masters debutant that's never played there before, finishing high. And he did it last year, and he had that little collapse on 11. I was like, well, he's going to maybe – and he was one stroke back after he came off the 16th green, if I'm not mistaken. And then, obviously, what happened on 18 was just absolutely devastating. But if you guys need me to jinx any golfer for you, just let me know, and I can make that happen.
Should have got you to jinx the Orlando Magic before the playing game tonight.
Maybe they're collapsing. I don't even know. They could be. Let's hope.
How are we getting Patrick Cantley at plus 350 to top 5? Again, I know this is a really strong field signature, but it's a small field event. And again, 5 of his last 7, he's finished 3rd or better. 6 of his last 7, he's finished 7th or better here.
Yeah.
That feels like value to me.
Yeah, per his track record, absolutely. I just bet it while you were talking about it. So, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit less here on Hard Rock. It's plus 325, but still, I mean, that guy's like an automatic. He's definitely an automatic top 10. Top 5, he, hopefully he'll fall into that. But yeah, 325 is decent value for a guy who finishes near the top every time he plays this place.
What about Jason Day? He's somebody who's 6-1 to top 5. I do like the way his game appears to be trending. This is a venue that he's played well. A lot of times, Jason's one of those guys, a little bit like JT. If you can take the driver, believe it or not, out of his hand, and this is definitely a less than driver golf course.
A lot of holes you're not hitting driver.
They hit their irons and fairway woods extremely straight. Yes, they hit their drivers much further, but they spray them a lot. And I always love it when it becomes a pitch and putt with Jason Day. I know, like, again, the irons are not, but at Augusta, you have a lot of long irons into it. Obviously, he did fine last week. And his short game just looked really good from the 2 rounds that I got to watch most of his at Augusta, getting 6-1 again to top 5. When I look at the top 5 and top 10, to me, is where the most value is this week, because again, you're talking about like 72 players.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think that if you have guys that you really like and you're getting at least 4, 5, 6-1, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Keith, I was going to ask you a question about DFS. Do you change your strategy at all when it comes to these no-cut fields? Because obviously, whoever you pick is making the cut, so they're going to be earning you points all 4 rounds, depending on how well or bad they play.
I do. I look a lot more at birdie or better percentage and birdie average. I mean, you could look at Eagles too. This is not a good course for that because, again, par 5s are kind of traditional 3-shot holes. But yeah, I absolutely look at how many do they birdie, where do they rank in birdie average per round, birdie or better percentage, particularly on par 4s and par 3s, because, again, that is 15 of the holes at this golf course compared to, most venues. So again, that's why I'm looking at guys like Russell Henley, Lucas Glover, like those guys, Strapa, McIntyre. They're all in the top 25 and birdie or better percentage, which is, a big deal. And then again, like in the top 10 range, I've got 3 guys at plus 450 that I just think are really good values. Bud Cauley, again, 6 or better his last 3 starts. This is a guy across the board, like just elite ball striking. Then, oh, by the way, he's also putting the eyes out. That's something you love to see. Thigala plus 450 again. Top 5 finishes here the last 2 years. So last year would have been in a signature event with, similar, type players in this field. And then Lucas Glover at plus 450, who, again, before Augusta, where I know that he also disappointed, he had really looked good, back-to-back top 10s heading into Augusta, and just like all the things I want: 5th in driving accuracy, 4th in proximity, top 20 tee to green strokes gained, top 30 strokes gained approach. And if he can just get the putter going, which we know Glover has those outlier weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't have to worry about 3-putting, which is something Lucas has done a good bit this year. This has like one of the lowest 3-putt percentages on tour. No surprise, because the greens are so small. And the last got a top 10, Buzenhout at 9-1, 33rd or better in all 4 starts here, including a top 20 last year. And again, just an elite short game. He's top 15 in strokes gained around the green, strokes gained putting, top 30 in scrambling, top 30 in bogey avoidance. And it does feel like a little bit of a value that you're getting him 9-1 on a field with 7. He's only got to beat 60 guys to, make the top 10.
Yep. Does Billy Horschel move the needle for you at all in this tournament?
Always. I mean, he did not have him on my betting card.
10.
What is he? I'm sorry?
On Hard Rock anyway, plus 550 to top 10.
Yeah, to me, that seems like great value. We know Horschel is another one of these guys that, like, he's not the longest dude in the world, but at a course like this, it doesn't matter. And he drives it really straight. He's somebody that can get really hot with the flat stick. And, he's known for throwing darts from time to time. Any other players you really like this week for your betting card?
Brian Harmon, kind of falling in line with Billy Horschel for top 5, is plus 1,000. 10-1 for Brian Harmon to top 5 in a small field seems like really good value to me, especially the type of game he plays and the type of golf course that demands that type of play. So I really like that one as well.
And also, he's all of a sudden starting to putt and chip well, because it's been a weird year for him. Obviously, he already has a W, which we were very happy at 75-1 to have, but it is unusual for him to rely more on like tee to green approach play and not around the greens and greens. Liam,
He's trying to distract me here, and he's cleaning his room, all the stuff he had up there, getting it to the trash. But he always tries to distract me when I'm doing this with you, and he did a good job today. So
Well, Liam is my guy. So anytime he wants to make his debut on Two Off the Tee, he's
there you
welcome
go.
to.
There you go.
Before we do the worst golfing habits, and then we'll get out of here, do you want to real quickly remind people of all the great work at fantasy6pack.net, whether you play fantasy football, obviously NFL drafts coming up, we have stuff on it. Dynasty leagues and stuff. Best ball drafts are going on right now, a ton of stuff on that. Baseball, fantasy baseball is full
rocking and rolling.
Going is in DFS baseball right now. You can join our Discord, talk, golf, NASCAR, whatever you want for DFS, fantasy football, fantasy baseball. I have access to all of our guys, and be sure to check out my golf content this week that includes a preview of this event, and then be sure to check out my DFS and betting cheat sheets. Last week,
fantastic. By
the
way,
betting one, the winning streak lost, but thanks to Patrick Reed, still a pretty good week.
Yeah.
I had him at 11-1 to top 5, plus 550 to top 10.
Come Liam, here, Keith wants to see you. He ain't got no shirt on. Imagine that.
His kid.
Say hi.
Liam. Liam, I got a question for you. How long will it be before you can physically manhandle your dad?
Not long.
I didn't think so.
Like when I'm 12.
And I mean, when you
yeah, my bad.
Dude, you can show off the guns. Don't feel bad about that. You look good. How's football going?
Good.
Yeah. You slinging that pigskin?
I got practice tomorrow.
Well, I am pumped for you. I love your dad when he sends the videos, and you're my guy, right? All right, go clean your room. That's whatever you're supposed to be doing. I asked him how long till he could physically beat you, up, and he said not too long. So walking around with his shirt off, I feel like he's trying to send a message to you that your time is up, his time is now. But real quickly, we'll do another item for the worst golfing habits. And I had one this week that really reminded me. I had a really good round going Sunday, and on consecutive holes, I found the bunker. And in consecutive holes, I was in the biggest footprints you'll ever see. And not making excuses, but it did, let's put it this way. It led to bogeys. I was frustrated. And it was one of those deals where it was almost like they couldn't have tried to take more steps if it, they were like doing it on purpose and they didn't break any of it, like none of it. And I'm not even asking around the lips. That's like a real, but just in the middle, can you at least get the flat spots, clean? Mike's not working, pro.
For some reason, this thing is super sensitive. I love it, but it's all I got to do is barely touch it and it comes out. But yeah, bunkers, filling your divots, ball marks on the green. I mean, that kind of collaboration of the three key things that just no one ever seems to want to do. And it's unfortunate because it can lead to, worse scores for other people. Mine's probably not as popular of a thing. I mean, if a golf course has bags for the driving range, it drives me nuts when all the bags are just sitting all on the driving range. That may just be my OCD as being an operator. But just, we at Bay Point, we provide a spot for the bags to go back in.
Oh, you're saying just put your stuff back.
Put your bag back of the balls, whatever it may be. Don't just leave it out there. It's tough work for people who got to pick it up and clean it up, but it just looks so much better when it's nice and neat. So that's not really a big time one, but it's one for me that drives me crazy because it only takes 2 seconds to put a bag in a bucket.
I completely agree, Ryan. I've really learned as I've gotten older that there's 3 types of people. There's slobs that they're just not going to like clean or pick up after themselves. There's people like me who I thought was OCD and very particular about where things go and putting things back. And then I met my lovely wife and we
Yes.
moved in together, and I realized, oh no, there's a whole nother level
Yep.
where
Absolutely.
I don't even touch stuff anymore. I'm just
Yep.
like arrange it however you want, darling. It's
Yeah.
fine. Just don't be surprised when you put something underneath something or behind something. I will have the cabinet, open, looking in there, and I'm like, I can't find it. It's
Yep.
nowhere. And she'll move one
Yep.
thing out of the way, and I'm like, damn, kind of look
Yep.
pretty dumb there.
Yeah, it's just that's how it goes. That's how
It
goes.
happens.
Yep.
Another one that bothered me from this weekend, we get an email 8:45, group start tee time. Like we have usually 4 or 5 tee times. We get there and somehow it's just 9:07. There was no email, text, whatever. And again, I think you know this about right. I'm pretty OCD. I
Yeah.
like, I like to have my routine.
Structure.
And the last thing I want to do is get good and loose and then realize, because I'm like at 8:40, I'm ready to go. Oh no, wait a minute. You have probably another 30 minutes, because usually we're in at least the second or third group.
Yeah.
So just like being accurate about tee times and stuff, because I have people all the time say, well, we're playing at 8, and you get there, it's 8:30 or vice versa. And I hate either showing up too early or too late than I want to. Or again, you could be like Ricky Paulson, who comes usually pulling in about 5 minutes as we're heading to the first tee.
So
and
this
then,
is more
wonders why it takes 3-4 holes to get loose.
This is more people telling you a time and it's not accurate. It's not your tee time being moved by the facility.
No. Because
Okay.
I mean, I don't think like all the places that we have are pretty good about, like, at most you're talking about like maybe 5-6 minutes behind.
Yeah.
If we're playing at like 9:30 or something, but never where they're like moving it. This was where he just sent the wrong time.
Mm.
And I just find it hard to believe, if he was so assured of it when we got there on Sunday, that he had not figured out at some time during the week, oh, wait a minute, I emailed the wrong time. Let me let everybody know, especially with all the freaking notifications we get from now. There's a group text, and you got people like my dad and other people responding in and out for, people like me and Ricky, who never play in the Monday, Wednesday, Friday games, just the Sunday. It's like, oh my God, because it starts a chain reaction every time, right? Where it's like one of them will say in, and then there's 15 guys out. And I'm like, if you're out, you just don't have to fucking respond.
Yeah, we
just don't say anything. Like that means only if you say you're in.
You're out if you don't say anything. Yeah.
And I've said this a few times, but the other thing that I just gotta say, because it's just the whole like clubs and the bag as you're starting to swing, or whoever designed, I think it's Easy Go Karts, that they have the automatic brakes when you let your foot off of them. But then about 3 to 5 seconds after that, there's a click.
Yep.
And if you have people like my father,
engaging, and then the golf cart won't go because you're jacking up the computer, and then you got to turn it off, turn it back on. Yeah, I've had so many calls because a lot of the facilities I've been at recently have RXVs, so people will be out there, my cart's not working, and they're pumping the brake, they're pumping the gas pedal, and it shuts down the computer. I'm like, turn off the key, turn it back on, wait for the click, and then you can go. But
I forgot that happened to my dad out at your place, because you called and told me, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right, because my dad is always clicking the gas because his impatient ass I guess is in a hurry to go wait,
Yeah, press it kind of slowly, and it'll engage. It'll be fine. Just don't pump it if it doesn't go.
That's what she said.
Yeah, there you go.
Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Obviously, if you want to check out my little radio show down here in the Florida Panhandle, ESPN Northwest Florida, the Inside Drive from 11 to 1 Central Time, 12 to 2 in the Eastern Time Zone. I guess that would make it, 8 to 10 in the Pacific Time Zone, but I doubt we have anybody listening for the Pacific Time Zone. Maybe, who knows? But you can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just search up ESPN Northwest Florida.
There's a goal for 2025, though, as you can try to get some listeners on the West Coast.
Yeah, there we go. Up and early with the Inside Drive.
I think it'd be good for you. A little morning commute. But be sure to check out, again, all my golf work over at Fantasy Six Pack. I am on Fridays now on Optimus Fantasy, doing basically mailbags with Kevin Tompkins.
Ooh, that's fun.
Nate Paul. Yeah, any fantasy football, draft, etc. questions that you have. They tweet it out, Facebook, social media it out. Usually Thursday afternoon, evening. You can send any of those or to their email, and we go through all of them and last anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes, depending on how many questions we get. And then obviously you can ask questions in the live chat. And then obviously we'll be, getting back to doing football for Fantasy Six Pack after the draft. I'm sure there's going to be some profiles and stuff that we'll do, but and then be sure again to check me out on Ryan's show tomorrow. We'll have an even more, I'm sure, in-depth discussion about this win for Rory. There's a few other storylines coming out of Augusta that I'm curious to discuss. We didn't really get into the Bryson, side of this too much, and that was also kind of fascinating because he also looked like a little deer in headlights, and I worry he's headed to a similar fate as Rory because you talked about Rory needs to be aggressive. I think Rory being aggressive is why he went 11 years without winning a major.
Fair.
And I feel Bryson plays a lot of the same way. And it's like the two greatest golfers of all time, they weren't ever really that aggressive. Now, they were obviously at moments.
They knew the moments that they needed to.
That's the deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they knew, and like, just again, there's no way Tiger or Jack hits that wedge shot. Basically right at that knob on 13. I don't believe that for all the money in the world. But again, check out all the good stuff at fantasy6pack.net, and we'll see you guys next week.